The first time I witnessed a stranger's pain change my life, I was sitting in a crowded subway car during rush hour in Chicago. It was one of those bitter winter mornings when everyone's wrapped up in their own world, trying to stay warm and get to work. I was doing what everyone else was doing, staring at my phone, headphones in, actively avoiding eye contact with other passengers. That's when I heard it, a sharp intake of breath, followed by the sound of something dropping. I looked up to see an elderly woman who had just lost her grip on her cane. But it wasn't the fallen cane that caught my attention. It was her face, the grimace of pain, the slight trembling of her lip, the way her eyes squeezed shut for just a moment. And here's the strange part. I felt it, not just emotionally but physically. My own muscles tensed, my stomach tightened, and for a split second, I could have sworn I felt the same pain she was experiencing. What happened in that moment wasn't just sympathy or even standard empathy. It was something more primal, more immediate, something hardwired into our brains that makes us feel what others feel. Scientists call it the mirror neuron effect, and it's one of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience of the past few decades. But let me back up a bit. The story of mirror neurons begins in the early 1990s in a laboratory in Parma, Italy. Scientists were studying the brains of macaque monkeys, specifically looking at neurons that fired when the monkeys performed certain actions. One day, a researcher named Vittorio Gallese was eating an ice cream cone during a break from experiments. As he enjoyed his treat, he noticed something extraordinary on the monitoring equipment. Some of the same neurons that fired when a monkey grabbed something were firing as the monkey watched him eat the ice cream. This accidental discovery led to years of research that would revolutionize our understanding of how our brains process others' actions and emotions. These special neurons, which fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action, were dubbed mirror neurons. But the implications went far beyond just copying actions. Further research revealed that mirror neurons are fundamental to how we understand others' emotions, intentions, and even their pain. It's why you might wince when you see someone stub their toe, or why your heart races when you watch a suspenseful movie scene where the protagonist is in danger. After that day on the subway, I became fascinated with this phenomenon. I started noticing it everywhere, in the way crowds at sports events move in unison, in how one person's yawn can trigger a chain reaction, in how a baby will automatically open their mouth when watching someone feed them. These weren't just learned behaviors. They were our mirror neurons at work, creating an invisible bridge between minds. I decided to dig deeper, and what I found changed my understanding of human connection forever. I spoke with neuroscientists, psychologists, and even Buddhist monks who had been studying the nature of compassion for decades. Each conversation added another layer to this fascinating story of how our brains are wired for connection. Dr. Sarah Chen, a neuroscientist at Stanford, explained it to me this way. Think of mirror neurons as nature's Wi-Fi system. They allow us to download others' experiences directly into our own nervous system. When you see someone in pain, you don't just intellectually understand their pain. Your brain partially recreates that experience for you. This explains why watching someone else get hurt can make us physically flinch, or why seeing someone cry can bring tears to our own eyes. Our mirror neurons are creating a simulation of their experience in our own minds, allowing us to understand not just what they're going through, but how it feels. But here's where it gets really interesting. Mirror neurons don't just help us understand others. They're crucial for learning, social development, and even cultural evolution. Think about how babies learn to smile, how we pick up accents from people around us, or how social movements spread through populations. Mirror neurons are behind all of these phenomena. I remember visiting a preschool classroom as part of my research. The teacher was reading a story to the children, and I watched as their faces unconsciously mirrored her expressions, widening their eyes when she showed surprise, furrowing their brows when she looked concerned, breaking into smiles when she did. These children weren't consciously copying their teacher. Their mirror neurons were automatically creating these responses, helping them learn not just facial expressions, but the emotional context behind them. This led me to another fascinating aspect of mirror neurons: their role in human evolution. Dr. Marco Iacoboni, one of the leading researchers in this field, suggests that mirror neurons were crucial in developing human culture and society. Before we had language, he told me, mirror neurons allowed us to understand each other's intentions and emotions. They were our first form of communication. Think about that for a moment. Before we could say, "I feel your pain," or "I understand what you're going through," our brains had already developed a system to share experiences directly. It's like we had emotional Bluetooth before we had words. But this system isn't perfect. Just as some people have better eyesight or hearing than others, some people's mirror neuron systems are more active than others. This variation might help explain differences in empathy levels between individuals. It might also explain conditions like autism, where difficulties in social interaction might be related to differences in mirror neuron functioning. This brings me to an important point. The mirror neuron system can be developed and strengthened, just like a muscle. Research has shown that practices like meditation, particularly compassion meditation, can enhance our ability to empathize with others. It's like upgrading our emotional Wi-Fi system to get a stronger, clearer signal. I decided to test this myself by attending a weekend retreat focused on compassion meditation. The experience was transformative. We spent hours practicing exercises designed to enhance our ability to feel and respond to others' emotions. One particularly powerful exercise involved partnering with a stranger and maintaining eye contact while silently wishing them well. At first, it felt awkward and uncomfortable, but as the minutes passed, something remarkable happened. I began to notice subtle changes in my partner's expression: the slight quiver of an eyebrow, the barely perceptible tightening around the mouth. And I could feel my own face responding in kind, my mirror neurons creating a silent dialogue of emotion. This experience led me to understand another crucial aspect of mirror neurons. They don't just help us understand others' pain, they're also essential for joy, love, and connection. When you see someone genuinely happy, your mirror neurons can help you share in that happiness. It's why baby laughter is so contagious, why good news shared is joy multiplied. But perhaps the most profound implication of mirror neurons is what they tell us about the nature of human consciousness and connection. We tend to think of ourselves as separate individuals, islands of consciousness in a vast sea. But mirror neurons suggest something different, that we're wired for connection, that our brains are constantly reaching out to understand and share the experiences of others. This has huge implications for everything from education to mental health treatment to social justice. If we can literally feel others' pain, doesn't that change how we should approach conflict resolution? If our brains are wired to share experiences, shouldn't that influence how we design learning environments? I spoke with Dr. Rachel Thompson, a social psychologist who studies empathy in conflict situations. She shared a fascinating observation. In mediation sessions, when one party truly understands the pain they've caused another, you can often see it in their body language. They'll unconsciously mirror the other person's posture. Their breathing will synchronize. It's their mirror neurons creating a physical bridge of understanding. This brings me back to that moment on the subway. After I saw the elderly woman drop her cane, something interesting happened. As I moved to help her, I noticed others doing the same. It was like a wave of awareness rippling through the car. People removed their headphones, looked up from their phones, reached out to help. Our mirror neurons had created a momentary community of concern. But here's the thing about mirror neurons. They don't just make us feel others' pain, they motivate us to act. When we see someone suffering, our mirror neurons create an internal simulation of their experience, which can prompt us to help. It's not just empathy, it's empathy in action. This has profound implications for society. In an age where technology often seems to be pulling us apart, understanding how our brains are wired for connection might be more important than ever. Every time we scroll past images of suffering on social media, our mirror neurons are activating, creating tiny simulations of that pain. Perhaps this is why constant exposure to negative news can be so draining. Our brains are literally processing each piece of suffering we witness. But there's hope in this understanding too. Just as mirror neurons can make us feel others' pain, they can also help us share joy, love, and understanding. Every smile we return, every laugh we share, every moment of connection strengthens these neural pathways. We're not just witnessing these moments, we're participating in them at a neurological level. The implications of mirror neurons extend far beyond individual interactions. They suggest that empathy isn't just a nice social skill, it's a fundamental aspect of human biology. We're not just capable of understanding each other, we're wired to do so. This understanding could revolutionize how we approach everything from conflict resolution to mental health treatment to education. As I wrap up this exploration of mirror neurons, I can't help but think about that elderly woman on the subway. In that moment, when I felt her pain, I wasn't just experiencing a neurological phenomenon, I was participating in one of the most fundamental aspects of human experience, the ability to share and understand another's experience. Understanding mirror neurons doesn't just teach us about brain function, it teaches us about what it means to be human. We are, at our core, beings wired for connection, understanding, and empathy. Every time we feel someone else's joy or pain, every time we instinctively reach out to help, we're experiencing this remarkable system in action. Hey everyone, if this deep dive into mirror neurons and human connection resonated with you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below sharing your own experiences with emotional connection. I'd love to hear your stories about times when you've strongly felt someone else's emotions. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on more explorations of the fascinating science behind human behavior. Until next time, keep connecting, keep caring, and remember, we're all wired for empathy. Peace out.